Welcome to Wildcat Science with Mrs. Haugo. This is Human Biology, Chapter 8, Part 5, and we are going to be talking about the muscles of the back, arm, and chest. So you do not need to write these down right now because we're going to go through each of them individually. We have the trapezius, the latissimus dorsi, the deltoid, and then on your arm and chest, the pectoralis major, the biceps brachii, the triceps brachii, and then two on the forearm. Okay, so let's talk about the trapezius. This muscle will help you, it extends the head, adducts the scapula, elevates the scapula, depresses the scapula, connects the cranium, shoulder, and vertebrae, and it is a large muscle of the upper back. The direction the scapula moves depends on which part of the trapezius contracts. So let's start up here now that you have that all written down, let's start at the word. Trapezius means it is a trapezoid shaped muscle. And I kind of think of it as two trapezoids, because you got one, zoom, 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 and then another one, zoom, zoom, and if this was more flattened out, there. And then what it'll do is if you do the top of your trapezius, it will extend the head. So if you have it flexed, it will extend it. So go ahead and put your arms back there, your fingers back there so you can feel it. The trapezius extend the head. And then it will work with your scapulae. So it will adduct, which means they go close together. So try and bring your scapulae together, and then it will elevate it and depress. So if you're going to be using different parts of this very large muscle to adduct, elevate, and depress. Okay, great. And again, it is the largest muscle of your upper back, and it connects the cranium with your shoulder, like the scapula, and then it also connects to the vertebrae, so it's all over the place. A very important muscle. Okay, another large muscle, but this one is a large muscle of the lower back, is the latissimus dorsi. This one is going to it will extend the arms. It also adducts the arm. It connects the vertebrae, ilium, and scapula to the humerus. It is a large, wide muscle of the lower back, and it moves the humerus. It will also extend the arm powerfully, like swinging a hammer or when you're swimming. So now that you have it written down, let's look at this. Latissimus means it is broad and flat, and dorsi means it's on your back. So it is a large, wide muscle of your lower back. It is going to connect your vertebrae to the ilium and all the way to the scapula, which you can't really see here, but it is connected to the scapula, to the humerus. So this is going to be your movable joint. All of that muscle is helping you move your arms. So it will extend the arm. So if we have it in the shoulder joint in a flexed position, it will extend it, like bring it down. It also adducts, so if you have it out here, again, it will bring it towards you. So if you can reach around and feel your back, your lower back, and then have your arm like out in front of you, and let's see if I can do this without hitting the desk, and extend it. Maybe you felt your back muscles, and if you can have it out here and then bring it towards you, perhaps you felt some of those back muscles. It is important when you're doing extensions, so like swimming, and then if you're swinging a hammer, you have the shoulder joint is extending, and you really want to get some power in there to hammer down those nails. Next up, we have the deltoid, and its function, it abducts the arm, flexes the arm, extends the arm, connects the scapula and clavicle to the humerus. Its job, it moves the humerus, and it is a delta-shaped muscle of the shoulder. So that name, deltoid, means it's delta-shaped, and a delta, like a river delta, or the Greek letter delta, is shaped like a triangle. And so it also depends on what, there are like 3 different parts of fibers, your posterior, anterior, and lateral fibers, and it depends on which ones you're using as to what it's doing, because you can see it kind of does its opposite, which is weird, but that's because there's different fibers that are involved. All right, so this is your meaty part of your shoulder, so it will abduct your shoulder, bringing it out, and then if you have your arm by your side, it will flex it, and if you put your hand on the front part, you can notice that those muscles contracted. And then if you put your hand near the back, then you will extend your arm or bring it back to your waist. So it will abduct, it will flex, and it will extend. So this one is moving the humerus at the shoulder joint, and it's connecting your scapula on the back to your clavicle on the front, and then those attached to the humerus. Okay, moving from the back to the front, you have the pectoralis major, and its job is to flex the arm, adduct the arm, and rotate the arm medially. It's going to connect the clavicle and sternum to the humerus, and it is used when you're climbing, throwing, or pushing. So looking at the word, we see pectoralis. It is on the chest region. Yep, so these are your pecs. And major, it's a large muscle. As you can see, this is a very large muscle. So it is going to help you flex your arm. So if you put your hand on your pecs and then you flex your arm, bringing it towards you. Also, it will help adduct the arm. So if you put your hand on your pecs and then bring your arm towards you, you should be able to feel it contract. And it will rotate your arm medially, so you're going to rotate your shoulder in, and you should be able to feel your pecs contract when you rotate in. So this is a large muscle. It connects the clavicle and the sternum all the way over to your humerus. And then, so it's really important for a powerful arm movement, powerful humerus mover. So when you are climbing, when you are throwing, you're using that. And then anytime you have some large pushing away, you would be using that as well. Moving to the arm, you have the biceps brachii. We call it biceps brachii because you do actually have more biceps in your body. You have the biceps femoris, which is in your leg. So this is going to flex the elbow joint, and it connects the scapula to the radius, and it moves your lower arm. So it has 2 origins or 2 heads. So let's look at its name. Biceps, 2 origins, 2 heads. Biceps is 2 heads, but we know that means 2 origins. So it has a head here and here. And brachii means it's part of the upper arm, as opposed to your biceps femoris, which is a muscle in the leg that has 2 heads. So that is going to flex at the elbow joint, and it connects your scapula, so 2 origins here, and then inserts on the radius. So when it contracts, it moves your lower arm up toward your shoulder. On the back side of your arm, you have the triceps brachii, and that is going to do the opposite. It's going to extend the elbow joint, and it connects the scapula and the humerus to the ulna, and it moves the lower arm. It has 3 origins or 3 heads, and it's important for lowering the lower arm and for pushing. Okay, once you have that all written down, let's talk about it a little bit. Triceps, 3 origins, and they're kind of hidden here, but you've got 1 there, and then a couple on the humerus, there and there, so 3 heads, and brachii, it is on your arm. So you need your bicep to flex the elbow joint, but you need your tricep to extend it. And you can see it, we talked about it connecting the scapula and humerus to the, expands the elbow joint to the ulna. So on your pinky side. And then it's going to move that lower arm. And then anytime you are lowering your lower arm, or if you're pushing, you're going to be using that. So if you can kind of, it's a little bit tricky without 3 hands, but push one arm away and then feel your tricep move when you do that. Okay, we're going to move down to your forearm, and you don't have to write this down yet. There are 20 forearm muscles. We're only going to have to memorize 2, so you're pretty lucky. There is the Brachioradialis and the flexor Carpi ulnaris. So let's jump into the Brachioradialis. It flexes the forearm at the elbow joint, and it pronates the forearm, also supinates the forearm, connects the humerus to the radius. It is the most superficial muscle on the radial side of the forearm, and it is involved in elbow flexion, like when your lower arm is semi-pronated, like hammering. So let's talk about all that a little bit. So I would like to watch that video in class, and let's look at our word. Brachio, so we know it has to do with the arm, and radialis, we know it attaches to the radius. So it's going to flex the forearm at the elbow joint, so it helps with the biceps brachii. It's also going to help pronate and supinate the forearm. So how do we find this? So it attaches on the humerus and also on the radius. So on the radial side of your arm, so on your thumb side, bring your hand back and forth, supinate and pronate, and you should be able to feel that meaty part of the forearm, and that's the one we're looking at. So it is involved in elbow flexion, particularly when your hand is semi-pronated. Not pronated, not supinated, semi-pronated. Kind of like when you're hammering. So it's super important for times like this. The last one is the flexor Carpi ulnaris. That is going to flex the wrist, adduct the wrist. It connects the ulna and humerus to the carpals. It is the most superficial muscle on the medial side of the forearm. And we'll watch that video in class. Okay, looking at the word, what can we learn from this? Well, we know it flexes something. It attaches to the carpals, and it attaches to the ulna. So this is going to flex the wrist like this. It also will adduct the wrist, bringing it towards the middle. And it connects the ulna to the carpals. So ulna to the carpals right here. And it is the most superficial muscle on the medial side. So if you are on the, if you have it supinated and you're on your pinky side, it's that really meaty part. So try adducting your wrist, and you can really feel that, or flex your wrist up and you can feel that. Okay, those are your arm chest and back muscles. See you next time. Bye.